Hello and welcome to my animation tutorial. Um, it's the first time I've ever actually made a tutorial type thing, so bear with me. I'm going to do it of AI Dungeon because it's kind of an interesting way I'm doing it here. AI Dungeon is going to be an animatic, but have some fully animated 15 frame per second scenes. And I want to go through my process and hopefully teach people about animation, something about animation. If you are like if you are totally beginner, if you're like a complete beginner in animating, I recommend you start with like a little bouncy ball. You animate like my first animations on my YouTube channel. Just start with like a little bouncy ball going along the screen. Practice with the squash and stretch physics, and then you can get kind of an idea, and build up some patience in animating. Kind of get used to it, get into it. So here, AI Dungeon is special because it has some pieces that are. Okay, don't mind the Discord notifications. It's kind of special because it has some scenes that are. It has some scenes that are 5 frames per second, and then others that are 15, and the 15, I'm doing it like it transitions from animatic to animation. Alright, hopefully I can go somewhere. Okay, so let's go back to AI Dungeon 2. So how I animate when I'm animating with sound is, first I listen to the sound, and then I kind of get a picture of how I want it animated in my head. So here.
Wait, why am I back?
Oh, and also, sorry if there's a weird audio thing. My screen recorder is listening to my voice and the audio coming from my tablet speakers, as well as recording the actual sound. So just bear with me. Alright, so it said.
Wait, why am I back?
Oh, that was me. I said, why am I back? Alright, and here's the thing about. So layers. I usually don't have a storyboard thing. I just kind of think it up and go, say as I go. A storyboard actually you can use as notes and kind of pinpoint where you want the scene to start or end, or what do you want to happen in the scene, and like just little sketches. Like, for example, I actually had one here. I went too far. There's a weird thing with flip a clip. If you have your pen or your finger on the little sound thing, it goes faster, but when you have it on the frames, you have better control of it. Alright, so this is the frame I used to start animating it more. So it goes from animatic to animation. So I'm going to start with this part. I'm going to start with the animatic. Alright, so usually I have one layer specifically for the background. I don't label mine because I just know where it's at, but I recommend for beginners you label yours. So I'll do here background, action, and an extra in case you want to add something above the action. And sometimes you might need more layers. Flip a clip only allows 10 layers, so you gotta be kind of conservative about it, but mainly you would only need about 3 or 4 layers, or 5. I usually use like all 10 just in case, but I recommend just 3 or 4. So I already made the scene.
Wait, why am I back?
And by the way, you don't have to follow this tutorial like exactly. I'm just showing like animatics, like how to make like animatics. As animatics, you can also just kind of learn how to structure your entire animation. And then I'm gonna show you guys how to do the 15 frames per second. You don't have to copy exactly what I'm doing. You can just make your own character and your own story. I just want to show you guys how it works, how I make it work and stuff. Yeah. So with animatics and backgrounds, sometimes for some scenes I don't have backgrounds, like maybe for this one. I won't, maybe for that one I won't. For these frames I won't have a background. And okay, that's kind of annoying me there. That little. So yeah, sometimes you kind of have to go back and kind of fix things, and don't get upset. Like if you do get upset, take a break or something. But don't get upset. If you need to fix something, fix it. Make it look right. Sometimes I have that where I'm working on a scene and then something just doesn't look right, and I have to go back through various frames and fix it. But it's always worth it in the end. Alright, I'm gonna fix that later. Here's how I do backgrounds with animatics. I just take this frame, make it lighter. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the onion skin here. Throughout this video, I might do like I might as well do some small like flip a clip basics. In the description later on or in the comment section, I will link the timestamps to the flip a clip basic parts if I get around to them. So behind me here, I'm gonna have like a Walmart because we're at a Walmart. So you just go ahead and draw your background. Okay, here's already one, the lasso tool. The lasso tool allows you to grab things and move them. You can move it like this, squash it. With these buttons to the sides, you can change it around or just delete that, delete the entire thing. And sometimes you gotta be careful, you gotta pay attention to where the line's going. And you can move it, turn it, spin it, and there you go. Let's add some trees. Whoop. So yeah, sometimes you gotta remember to go back to your pen. And in the pens, you have like different variations, and each pen has its own size. When you change the size on one pen, it won't change the size for any of the others. So that's just a cool, convenient thing it has. The colors. You have this whole color wheel thing here, and you can save colors. You can make your own presets, and you can rename them. You can clone them and then remove them, which is kind of cool. I have all these from different characters of mine, and yeah. So and you can do that with the fill bucket as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, so anyway, I'm gonna finish up this. I'm basing this off of a real life place that I know. So kind of add details. Sometimes my backgrounds are detailed. At other scenes, they're not so detailed. But I recommend take the time to make it right. Take the time to give it effort. Pour some heart into it. You know, if you're really passionate about it, make it look good. Now, since this is an animatic and doesn't have any color, take the fill, get white, and you just fill your character in so no lines in the background appear. Or if you know that you're not going to move your character within this scene, or like, okay, so you have this background, right? But if you're not going to move your character while it's in front of this background, sometimes you can just delete the background and yeah, and it works that way too. But if you're going to move your character, I recommend don't do anything to the background and just keep filling your character with the white paint. There's another thing. Sometimes I like to keep an extra, like the background. I like to keep an extra of the background on another frame, just in case something goes wrong and you need it back, and you can go back and copy and paste it, put it back in your scene. So it's just a useful tip. Okay, really quick, I want to show the way I fix frames. Like if I copy and paste a bunch of frames, right, and then I look at it, I'm like, okay, that doesn't look right. Here's how I usually fix it. I fix one of the frames. Now it looks a little bit better. Then I take the eraser and I just delete the part on each frame that will be fixed. It's a little bit tedious, but it works.
Wait.
Then you go back to the frame you fixed, copy, and then paste it. Alright, so now that we finished the animatic part, now it's time to turn this animatic into a full-on animation. So I'm gonna move this from the storyboard frame. Now I'm gonna put background. Alright, so I'm gonna separate the background from the character. I'm gonna post this and paste this in two separate frames. In this frame, I'm gonna separate the background. So I'm gonna delete the character. Be very careful. And if your character is touching the background, you can just go in like really like carefully. You can make things smaller, zoom in, and you know, try and get that character off the background. Then for this one, I should probably post. Right, I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna delete the entire frame. And then paste it, switch to action, paste it there. And then I'm going to remove the background very carefully. And there we go. So then I can take the character, copy, paste, and take the background, copy, and paste. And now you got your background and the character on separate frames. So now we're going to keep them like that for a few frames. We're going to go from animatic to full 15 frames per second. So I'm going to try and animate him very slowly and make him gradually go faster and faster and faster and faster. So we got like these 3 frames. I'm going to go for about 2 more frames. I'm not really sure how you would... I'm not sure how you would do 5 frames per second on a 15 frames per second animation. Like, there's probably some math to do that, but I'm just gonna be like, change the frame a little, and then go. Alright, so I have like these 5 frames of just this, right? And then I change the frame, and I'm gonna have that for 4 frames, and then I'm gonna change the frame again. Or redraw the frame again and then do it for 3, and then once I get to 1, then I'll be fully animated at 15 frames per second. Alright, so now we have the running thing. Preview it.
Run away from the Walmart. Run away from
And as soon as it gets, now it's at 2 frames, so now from here on out, now from here on out, it goes full 15 frames per second. Then I'm going to deal with the background and introduce color later. So now, I teach you how I do walk cycles. As I put in the little text thingy, my style of walk cycles and running cycles is very cartoony, and also this whole animatic is like a whole big cartoon, so I really don't pay attention much to trying to make my cycles look natural. But if you want natural, they have tutorials out there that you can follow if you want to be more professional. But for beginners, I probably recommend trying like this, trying like doing it in a cartoony like style with small limbs. Limbs that are easy to draw. And as I said in the little text thingy, visualize like a stick. Visualize like a stick figure. Ooh, oopsies. And it kind of helps visualize how to move the limbs correctly. I mean, the problem here though is my character is kind of condensed. It's kind of like he's kind of flattened a little. His structure is kind of weird. Again, it's one big cartoon, so usually I recommend using like longer limbs. Alright, so now it's gonna go like back to this frame, and I'm gonna paste that frame here from like one, like after one space. So right now, here's another cool thing about the onion skin, and I forgot I have Flip a Clip Pro. You might need to buy some features. They're pretty cheap though, like only $1 to $2. Go to edit under onion skin. You see these frames before. You can edit that so shows more frames before and here frames after. So you want one frame before, one frame after, and sometimes making it colored helps. Red for before and green for after. It's a mess, but so I'm gonna leave the head out for now. I'm gonna focus on the limbs. So we want the red to transition into the green. So I'm gonna draw a line like kind of in between them. The hand, I call these OKKO fists. In this show, I don't know if you know the Cartoon Network show OKKO. They sometimes just use circles for the fists, and I really like that style. It's kind of fun, cartoony. Since sometimes it's a bit hard, and sometimes you gotta kind of shape it a bit. See, now it's like, alright, and he's holding something. In the animation, he's holding, well, I'm gonna say an adult book and cookies. Yeah, we're all teenagers, and we just don't really have filters anymore, and there's a reason why I'm putting this on my Maturity Increase channel. If you want to watch the final animation, viewer discretion is advised. But alright, continuing on. Now we want the red to match with the green, so kind of I want like the motion to go like that, you know, just swift motion like that. Well, not so swift, but yeah, sometimes like little dots that appear. Uh-oh. And sometimes, if you want to match it up with the rest of the body, just kind of like, not actually like draw, but kind of in the air trace and kind of match up with the limb that's behind the other limb, like that. And sometimes it's fun to do like a stretch thing. Like, hold on, let me example it over here. Alright, I'm gonna do this little animation. Sometimes when you want to move something really quickly from one side to the other, start like that. It's fun to do like a stretch thing, and you see it a lot in animation. Smear frames, they're called. I can't think of the name. I'm gonna do like a little smear frame thing there. I'm gonna smear frame there because it's like bending that way. I think you guys get the gist of it. You kind of just see and kind of put in the middle. And it transitions fairly well. Just depends on the frames that you're on, or on the frame count. Like I'm on 15 frames per second. Sometimes when you're like on, if you're like on 20 or 30 frames per second, you gotta like, I recommend having more space between the frames and doing it more slowly, slower. Maybe some. I am working on a 20 frame per second animation. Maybe sometime I'll show you guys how I'm working on that. Alright, so now that we have the run cycle complete, very cartoony and misproportioned walk cycle, or run cycle, now we can pinpoint where it kind of starts. So, and we can take care of the onion skin, we can put it back to normal. So we kind of want to land back on this frame. So 48, frame 48. I'm gonna put this out here, just in case it's like a goal. It's not exactly gonna go to that frame. I'm just putting it there in case I need it. So now we copy this frame, the second to last, put it there. We kind of count. All right. So remember the frame. All right. So like it's like the turning point. Like it goes up to here and it goes back down. It's supposed to be like that, and then go back like that. So you gotta remember the turning point frame is, well, for me it's 54. So then I go count 1, 2, go to 54, 1, 2, and so on. Sometimes you'll need a full cycle, but for me, because of the way the sound is, alright, so if you give it a listen here.
Feeling pretty dumb and oddly confused.
Like the way the narration is, I'm gonna change the scene. But sometimes if you want a complete thing, you just keep on going till you reach like that frame that you kept there, and you go back up again. You can also use the frames viewer. You can long press, select it, so you can share your frame for some reason. You can delete the frame, you can copy and then paste it, or just add a new frame after it. I'm not going to do anything because sometimes adding frames and deleting them messes with how the animation is synced with the sound. So yeah, that's one thing to watch out for there. Alright, I'm actually going to end the video here, but I will do a part 2, and I'm going to post that super soon as of posting this one. I'm going to work on showing you the moving background, introducing color into the scene, and more little flip-a-clip features like adding text, and how to deal with color, how to use the color picker thingy. I forgot the name of it. And basically other features like the ruler and stuff, all the good stuff like that. See you in the next one. If you have any questions, let me know.